Hey guys, it's Crazy Horse here. So today we are about to be doing a night attack on some known SA sites. It's going to be a low-level attack. So first thing we're going to do is keep our wheel chocks on. We're going to turn our battery on. Actually, we're at night, and on the carrier. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and put our power on.
Chief, turn on the ground power. Copy.
And I'm going to go ahead and just
Ground
close
power
this.
is now on.
That gives us a little bit better. Now we can go ahead and turn on the battery. There we go. So next thing we're going to go ahead and do, our engines are actually going to be one of the last things we do, but let's go ahead and click on our decks. Fuel cutoff, left and right pump. Canopies closed. We're not going to do any... So first thing we do is let's go ahead and turn everything on. Let's go ahead and get radios going. So now let's go to our EHSD. And we're going to just click this over to C. And you can see we have our timer there. So that's getting us set up there. So we can go ahead and just start turning our systems on. I want to go ahead and turn on a floodlight. Instrument panels, our consoles, warning lights. We're not going to turn on our lights here on the deck. So let's go ahead and come over here. Let's switch to night. And probably have to turn those all the way up here. Again, night. Now those get really dim. Don't need this flashlight anymore. Let's go ahead and make sure. We'll just go ahead and set our nozzles to about 10, a little lower, just so that they're ready to go when we do our startup. Our INS is aligning. So let's make sure anti-skid is currently turned on. And down here on our radio, let's do track and receive plus guard. Transmit receive. There we go. Make sure our oxygen's on. Lights, we're going to go ahead and set everything up to dim. And formation lights. RWR. Let's go ahead and come down here and let's work on bitching Betty, which is this knot right here, right there, and our sidearm warning. There we go. Let's go ahead and get our DMT going and our FLIR. Okay. Arm our ejection seat. Let's get our HUD up. Switch that to night mode. Alright guys, so now all we're doing is we're getting everything up and running. We have 7,700 pounds of fuel, so we're going to be a little heavy today. But that's for the purpose of the fact that we're taking off from the carrier, but we're also going to be going in about 60 miles from our current position. And go ahead and turn the TACAN to 70. We're not going to turn that on yet because we don't need it. So normally this would be done in a flight, of course, but today we don't have a flight, so it's just going to be us. We're going to fly our waypoints. The carrier is doing about 5 knots. You can see that on the HUD there. And we're just going to wait for this timer to be done here. And we are okay, so let's go ahead and turn this to nav. Now I'm going to go ahead and engine start because we're ready to launch.
Generator, flap failure.
Flaps coming on. Just going to turn those up. Wait for 9.2. Throttle coming forward. So one thing that I didn't realize until recently is the emergency brake actually does drain your hydraulic pressure, so it's something just to pay attention to. Now, I don't want this map on. Let's check that our nods are working. They are a little bright right now, but that's okay. And let's go to DMT. That is working. So what I like to do, sensor select switch right. And you can see safe FLIR, it's not working yet, so we just want to finish our cooldown. Engines are now up. We're going to be launching here in a minute. So while we're waiting on that FLIR, because the FLIR is going to be important during night, let's go to our V-rest. We're doing a short takeoff. So we want nozzles at 60. So let's go ahead and change our stow stop to 60. And we want our NRAS at 82. So again, we're going to click the V-stall button, hit 82, and there we go. Okay, so we're set up there. Just about ready to go. Again, sensor select switch right. Let's see, that's up. So now we make sure we're on night mode and depress sensor select switch. You see the HUD just got a little brighter. We're going to come down here. Just going to adjust ourselves. There we go. Now we have FLIR, that DMT FLIR, and we can switch between white hot and black hot, which white hot's going to work best for me right now. Now let's go ahead and remove our flaps. We're ready to get on mission. We didn't want to be sitting here on the deck with the engines up too much. So ground power is off.
Turn off the ground power. Copy. Chief, remove the wheel chocks. Ground power is now off. Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
Make sure everything's still good to go. It is. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn on or off, depending on how you want to look at it.
Caution, caution.
Our nose wheel steering. We're going to go ahead and turn on the deck here. It's about 3:30 in the morning. Getting ready to launch into Syria for a couple of SAM sites. We do have a pre-positioned waypoint. 24 miles, we should be going about feet dry. We're going to follow a roadway along and just be ready to take off and go. So here we go. We're getting lined up. Throttle's coming down. We're on lineup. There we go. Nose wheel steering is now fixed. Lights are off. Takeoff, H2O to takeoff, and I want combat power. Sensor sweep, and let's go ahead and turn our flood off now. We don't need that. No system's wrong. There we go. Almost full power. Nozzles coming back.
Altitude, altitude.
Pushing nozzles forward slightly.
15 seconds.
Drop
15,
our
altitude,
throttles down.
Altitude.
Continue to push nozzles
altitude.
forward.
Altitude, altitude.
Flaps can go
Caution, caution.
up. Water is going off. Combat power is coming off. Nozzles to 100% or 0. And we can come right onto target. I'm going to go ahead and throw my night vision on. This is mostly a night vision flight. So you can see I dropped my speed down. We don't need to go in too fast. And I want to try to avoid using too much fuel on this mission. So here we go, we're coming in. You can see that this FLIR system really is helpful. So once we go feet dry, we're going to assume that there's threats and we want to drop down to the deck. We know there's nothing looking at the sea right now for this mission, and so that's not really a concern. And we will fence in once we go feet dry. You see, we're at 1,700 feet. All of our systems are good. One thing we didn't do earlier was set our bingo, so let's go ahead and do that now. 2,900 is a good bingo on today's mission. So this is going to be a little bit more of an intense mission to fly, just because of the fact that we are absolutely going to be flying really low. Lower the better. There's obstacles, there's hazards, hills, and there's a huge threat. Just working our trim out a little bit, making sure we're stabilized. 12 miles to feet dry. And then we're just going to cycle through our waypoints and continue there. So we do have our jamming pod on today. So when we fence in, jamming pod will be part of that procedure. Okay, let's get our EW page up, and that's just the Tarawa pinging us. So we have a fairly light loadout today. We do have a gun pod, we have 4 sidearms, and a jamming pod. So it's not the heaviest. It was an easy takeoff, as you saw. Six miles to feet dry. So we're now within Syrian airspace. And you can see here, we actually have a mountain range we're going to go over, so we're not going to have to dive too low here. We just want to stay below that mountain until we're ready to crest it. We are going to follow a roadway, which we have waypoints following it. Three miles. Let's go ahead and make sure we're at 25 miles there. Two miles. And we are now feet dry. Coming to the right. As you can see, we have that road right there that we're going to follow along. That's where we'd call our feet dry back there. We want to make sure that we're about 1,000 feet, no lower. You see a lot of villages down here. People are going to hear us, but it doesn't mean they know exactly what we're going after, so we still have some operational security there. So while we're here, let's go ahead and look out. You can see where our waypoint is right up here. We're going to basically follow this road along and then cut off. the reason we chose to follow this road today on this mission planning is it gives us much better way of just following our way in without being detected, and you probably have some mountain passes.
Altitude.
All right. So there we go. All right, let's go ahead and get our fence-in procedure done. I want to master arm on, and I want to receive and exit. No lights required. All lights are off, so we're good to go to continue. We're 13 miles from the target, overflying the roadway now, and I'm going to take a look up here. Looks like a pretty easy.
Altitude.
Going to set our altitude to 100 so that it won't go off so much. Now once we go real low, we're going to turn on our nods and fly direct on nods because we don't want to be flying really low without nods. And here we go. Now we are.
Altitude.
Pull up.
Now I do like going to Black Hot here, as you can see. Gives us just a little bit better
Pull up.
view. You can see we're flying really low here, just skimming these treetops. We don't want to be high because we'll get detected, so this is a really good way of just getting in here. We're at 190 feet, 200 feet, using the terrain. But you got to watch out for these trees here. You can see that tree. So we have a lot of obstacles. This is probably one of the more dangerous missions. Now we're coming down. You can see we didn't want to be detected. This is one of the primary, biggest missions of the Harrier. Obviously, we're going to get detected. We're going to get launched on. And what it really comes down to is just making sure that we're watching for those launches, paying attention, getting a missile off, and then aborting and avoiding. Now, this would normally be done in a flight of 2 to 4, depending on the mission. Today, we don't have that option. It's just us. Notice I'm very gently letting my velocity vector go to the top of that hill so that we're close. Let's see what that is. It's still the carrier hitting us. And coming up just a little. Going to waypoint 2. Or waypoint 3.
Pull up.
Altitude.
You see we're flying this pipeline right here, which is definitely an interesting pathway.
Pull up.
And I just want to take a look here. Okay.
Altitude.
Pull up.
Altitude.
Flying right here beside these power lines now. So what I want to do is I want to come up. We need to be on the left side of these power lines. Here's a great spot to do it. So let's just come over. When you're flying low, you want to look at the obstacles that you don't know about during mission planning. And there we go.
Altitude.
Pull up. Pull up.
Altitude.
Pull up.
Now you can see Bitching Betty does not like how low we're flying. We're flying exceptionally low. And going to our next waypoint, 25 miles away. This should be our direct in waypoint. Watching those power lines. Now we need to go ahead and drop. So we're 22 miles out. So if you ever don't know, just go ahead and do this real quick. And about 21 miles out, so that's perfect. Let's go ahead and shut those AFCs back off. So we are now inbound, threat hot. Fuel's doing good, so you can see we use just over 1,000 pounds. We're at 6,200, so that's what we need to plan on to be able to get out of here. So our 2,900 bean goes perfect. And watching this power line here. That's getting up a little high. So we're going after some SA-15s today. So let's look at their threat range. You can see that they should start being able to ping us at 12 miles. But our weapons are only effective at 7 miles, so we need to be very cautious as we go in.
Out.
So as we get really close here, we're going to have some workflow to do. We're going to turn our nods off for a minute because we're going to have to watch our RWR. We're going to have to go to air to ground, and we're going to have to go ahead and activate our missiles. Those 122 sidearms. 12 miles out. At 9 miles, I'm going to go ahead and push my throttles to 100% and jump altitude up really high. Now understand, this is just a mission video. This is not a tutorial for any of these current systems that we're doing. "10 miles. Air to ground is on. You can see we're flying low enough that we're not being detected yet. Well within that detection range. 8 miles, missiles on. And pushing throttles all the way up. 2,000. 3,000. 4,000. Ooh, they've got us. Missile away. Now we're diving. Diving to the deck.
Altitude.
Get really low. Hoping that that missile hits. Let's see if it's still in the air. It is not in the air. So it did not hit. Let's go ahead and come back around. So that SA-15's getting pretty close to us here. You can see the great moon out tonight. So we're just going to come around to that waypoint and we'll reactivate our missile. We do a pop-up. We're at 8 miles out, so slowing down just a little bit. There we go, popping up. Missile is now on. We're able to launch. Now we're going to dive.
Pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull up.
That's what I want to demonstrate right there. You can see that they can absolutely hit our missiles, and that's a problem, right? Here we go, coming in.
Pull up, pull up.
And there we go, we got one. One out of
Altitude.
3 shots. So the SA-15 is definitely a powerful tool. Obviously, the more you have in the squadron attacking, the better. All right, let's go ahead and push up. We're close. Closer the better on these SA-15s because you get into a point where they have a problem attacking. There we go, they've got us. And now we're out.
Pull up, pull up.
Okay, now we have a problem. Now they're detecting us still.
Pull up, pull up.
This is where you're just using your terrain. Using
Pull
that
up,
low
pull up.
altitude is going to be important. Power lines. And we are out of here. So we've used our ordnance. We were able to destroy one of those targets out of the out of 4. So not the best
Altitude,
average there,
altitude.
right?
Pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull up. Pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull up. Altitude. Altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull up.
So you can see we're flying really low here, guys. It's not the easiest operation to fly.
Pull up, pull up. Altitude.
Here we're down in the valley, so we can be a little higher. We don't have to worry as much. Okay, let's take deselect weapons. We're going to go to nav mode now. Now we're going to be well out of SA range as soon as we crest this mountain. This mountain range here is considered our safe area. SA-15 is still tracking us though. Now, a couple of things I want to point out in this mission here was the fact that we did use some negative Gs. So that's something you need to pay attention to. You pretty much want positive Gs, which means you're going to go inverted and then level out, or fire. Well, you can see at one point we did fire when we were upside down. So we're well out of the threat range. We're in friendly territory now. So let's go ahead and master arm off. And we'll shut down our jammer. There we go. And we can actually go lights on now. Because we are in friendly territory. So once we go feet dry, we can go ahead and stay there. So you can see we're 38 miles out from the carrier. Let's go ahead and look straight out in our map here and see. So we're going to come out, we'll come right, come in, get into the pattern, and then go ahead and do a landing. Now, you see I didn't drop my throttles down too much. We're not going to hit our bingo. Matter of fact, when we get into pattern, we might even dump some fuel. But we should be down, below 3,000 when we hit the deck. So pretty good fuel management planning. That's actually quite important. Let's go ahead and check. So we should be at about 3,800 when we hit that waypoint. So that's going to be pretty easy there. Again, we're just going to keep EW up. Now, a couple of things that I do. So we're going to be doing a case 2, which is pretty much the same for the Harrier as the case 1 in this instance. We're a single flight. They're already expecting us, so we're just going to go ahead and continue that route. Once we go feet wet and we get about 10 miles from the waypoint, we'll actually go ahead and go direct to the carrier. I want to be in international airspace and waters, so that's a 12 miles there. You see it's a beautiful night out over the water, and I can already see the Tarawa way out there. See that we're only about 28 miles from it. And you can see because we're doing level flight, I didn't really turn my nods back on, didn't really need to. There'll be some setup we need to do when we get over the carrier. Certain things like turning out our lights, things of that nature we'll want to do. You see that's just the carrier there hitting us. Beautiful full moon night. Now, we were pretty close. This was probably a pretty short flight. We went Winchester fast, but that's actually what the Tarawa was doing so close to the shoreline here, is we could have went straight back out, landed, went straight back in and continued an attack, so you could have a couple of Harriers at a time doing a rotation so that we're putting rounds on target. The SA-15s are going to be a little more difficult just because of the fact that they do shoot down the sidearms. And we're going to go to attack ant now. And we can go direct in on the carrier. Now what you're actually going to see me do is come wide of the carrier, because what I want to be able to do is, as we come over on the carrier, I want to be able to enter the pattern correctly. So we're going to enter the pattern at position 1. You can actually enter at position 3 if you like. I think that sometimes is preferred. You see how bright that moon is for us. ahead and start our turn in. Looking for the carrier there. So our assigned altitude is 2,500 feet. Or correction, 2,000 feet for us on this one. So we're just going to start lowering our throttle because we want to be at 250 knots. We're at 3,900 pounds. I have no problem here going ahead and starting my fuel dump. Both are up, and we'll start that fuel dump just to get us as light as possible for the easiest landing we can. And looking out there at that carrier. So we're going to enter at position 2. We'll make sure that we're down to our minimum fuel rates, and then we can continue on from there. $11 miles out. Now we're not going to do a big circle here, a big pattern. We might do one rotation depending on how we're looking. I'm actually going to
Bingo, bingo.
There we go, we're at our bingo. 2,900 pounds, so we'll go ahead and switch our fuel dump switches off. We went a little lower than we were supposed to. Not paying attention. Entering into the pattern, so let's slow down to 250 knots, start working our trim just a little. Okay, and let's do white hot now that we're over the ocean and actually using it. So we're at 4.4 DME, entering into the pattern. A little slower than we should be, so let's go ahead and push those throttles up just a bit. So we're checking. We're at 2,700 pounds of fuel, which that's good, great for a carrier landing. Watching our trim, and we want to be about 5.5 out for the pattern to initiate. And so the carrier is position 1. This is position 2. Right out there is position 3, and out there is position 4. So we want to initiate from position 4. So you can see we're only 1.1 DME out now. Which is a little close for initiating, but we're okay here. This is kind of just a fun little mission we're doing. So now we're going to start pushing our throttles up. I want to be at 350 feet. I'm going to drop down to 800 feet. There we go. Radar altitude is on. Lights are coming off. Flaps are still in auto. Now one thing for a night carrier landing like this, in case 2, let's go. Let's look at the Tarawa, and you can see it's heading at 001, which is going to be slightly off, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and change that. 001, enter, and there we go. Now we're going to actually start initiating. So night missions such as this, night landings, can be very difficult. There's a lot more going on in the aircraft, what you're doing, your workload, just because you don't have the visual orientation that you would like. There we go. Coming up. Starting to level. Lowering our throttles just a little. We're at 800. And we should be good to go there. We are not. Matter of fact, that course line is not correct. So that's something to just to be aware of. There apparently the magnetic deviation declination was not correct. So let's get a good look. There we go. So not the best pattern here. Pushing our throttles up, we want to be around 350. A little lower is fine, but... And we're clear to brake. We're about 50 feet high, and that's okay. Nice level brake here. Speed brake is out. Once I'm below 250, I'm going to go ahead and drop my gear. Flaps coming down, nozzles coming, going to V-stall mode. Continuing to watch my drop. Leveling out, as you can see from that course line, it did adjust. And there we go. Starting to lose some altitude on purpose there. Nozzles coming down to about 50. Pushing our throttles up because now we're in that level descent. Alright, good to go. Continuing to lose a little bit of altitude. Let's go ahead and set our water to landing. You can see that gave us a good boost. We're not using water yet. And we're well past, we can see. Notice I'm keeping the aircraft as flat and even as possible. There we go. 360, we're still doing good. Level out just a little bit. Want to be at about 130 when I'm final. There we go. Looking good. Looking good. Looking good. Put my... There we go. At 0.5, I'm going to go ahead and put my nozzles down to 82. There we go. We're going to be a little fast coming in here, so I'm going to nose up. Bring my throttles up. Definitely coming in fast. And throttle's coming up. We're going to have to go back to 50. We're going to gain altitude, and we're going to do a wave off. That was a wave off approach, in my opinion. So again, we're just watching there. Not using any more water now. And we're about 1 DME, which is okay. Between 1 and 1.3, just like the Hornet. 430 feet, so we're okay over here on the downwind. Watching what we're doing. Do some trim out here. So there we go, we've trimmed even. Go ahead and start a descent and coming left. I think in general we're going to find the most wave offs at night. During the day, it's not quite as difficult. You have a little bit better visibility. During the day, it can be. Now, one thing, we're not using our nods. That's actually an important factor, because you don't want to... You want to have some night vision. So normally on your once you're entering the pattern, you're trying to stay off of nods. So we're going to watch that DME a little closer this time and do a good slowdown. Okay, we're at altitude, so now we need to be cautious. And I'm going to go ahead and do my nozzles now. I need to come over to the left just a little bit. That's okay. You can see we're getting a little bit of oscillation, and that's, again, okay. 82, 82. There we go. We're a little low. Little low. Coming in. Our match speed is 5. You can see we're just gently trying to come up platform here. A little far forward, but we're doing a lot better on that. So we're just going to drop back just a little bit. Not too much. Go. Then we're going to start gaining our speed. There we go. Then we're going to come over. Get over that center line. We're right at 5. We're matching speed. Really good. Watching our speed. And starting to come down. Now we're right over where we want to be. Watching that speed at 5. Coming down. Up. Getting a little bit farther over. And we have that low fuel indicator. So we got a little bit faster there. We're slightly forward by about a few feet. But in general, that's a pretty good mission there. You can see we didn't use all of our fuel. We still have some water left. From here, we'd go ahead and just taxi up. And we'd be good to go. Alright guys, this is just a quick little fun mission on the Harrier, and I'll see you guys again.